Chapter 1. The Call from My Father. Wade Robertson was rinsing a coffee mug when his phone buzzed on the counter. The mug was still warm from the coffee he'd just finished, and his house, the one he had worked half his life to build, felt unusually quiet. Christina had left for work an hour earlier. Emma was at school. It should have been a peaceful morning. It wasn't. The name on the screen made Wade frown. Dad. His father rarely called this early. Any call before noon usually meant something was wrong. Wiping his hands on a towel, Wade picked up the phone. "Hey, Dad. Everything okay?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Fred's voice came through sharp, low, tense, so tense that Wade immediately straightened. "Wade, listen carefully. Is your wife home?" Wade blinked. "Christina? No. She left early." "Why? What's going on?" Fred inhaled shakily. Good. Then listen to me, son. I need you to go to Emma's room. Right now. Check under her bed." Wade frowned harder. "What? Why?" "Dad, what are you talking about?" "Don't let Christina know you found it," Fred continued, ignoring the question. "And for God's sake, don't call her. Don't text her. Don't even mention I spoke to you. Do you understand?" A cold ripple went down Wade's spine. "Dad, you're scaring me." "Just do it," Fred said firmly. "Call me back. I'll explain everything once you see it." The line clicked dead. Wade stared at the phone for a few seconds, heart thudding. His father never spoke like that, never gave orders, never sounded afraid. The last time Wade heard a tone like that was when his mother had been rushed to the hospital years ago. Something was wrong. Something big. He moved through the hallway on autopilot, feeling the air shift around him like the house itself was holding its breath. The photos on the wall, vacations, birthdays, Emma's kindergarten graduation, seemed to watch him as he approached his daughter's room. The door was slightly open. Her room looked normal. Posters on the wall, a small bookshelf, her pink comforter neatly arranged. Nothing unusual. Nothing that justified the panic in Fred's voice. Wade stepped inside. "Dad better not be losing it," he muttered quietly. He knelt beside Emma's bed and lifted the blanket draped over the side. Dust bunnies, a forgotten sock, a plastic unicorn, and then something that didn't belong there. A black portfolio case. Slim, leather, tucked so far back that Emma never would have noticed it. His heartbeat jumped. Carefully, he pulled it out. The case felt heavier than it looked. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. His fingers trembled slightly as he unzipped it. The first thing he saw was a sealed envelope labeled DNA test, confidential. Wade froze. The room felt instantly colder. He tore the envelope open. Inside was a lab report, pages clipped neatly together. His eyes moved line by line until they landed on a single highlighted sentence. Probability of paternity. 0%. The world stopped. He reread it. Once. Twice. 3 times. "No," he whispered. "No, that can't be real." His hands began to shake. He set the report down, breath shallow, mind spinning. Emma wasn't his Emma? His little girl? He forced himself to look at the next document, a printed email chain. He scanned the first 2 lines, and his blood ran cold. "Christina, we need to finalize the date. Once he transfers the money into the trust, Marco and I can handle the rest. Emma won't be hurt. He'll think it was a kidnapping. You'll be safe." The response from Marco, his old friend Marco, read, "Marco, stop worrying. The sedative is enough for a child her size. Once she's with me, everything falls into place. After the money clears, Wade becomes a loose end." Wade felt something inside him crack, like a bone breaking under invisible pressure. Loose end. They were talking about him. His hands tightened so hard on the paper that the edges crumpled. He forced himself to keep reading. More emails, more messages, each one worse than the last. Plans. Dates. A reference to a storage unit. A mention of Christina accessing accounts she wasn't supposed to touch. And again, Marco's casual cruelty bleeding through every line. His chest felt like it was being crushed. He sank onto the floor beside the bed. The room blurred. His ears rang. Everything he believed about his life, his marriage, his family, his daughter, was twisting into something grotesque. Christina, his wife, the woman he trusted with everything. Marco, his closest friend since college. How long? How deep did this betrayal run? His eyes landed on a final item in the portfolio, a small USB drive taped to the back pocket. He didn't touch it. He couldn't. Not yet. His phone buzzed again. Wade flinched. Dad. He answered immediately. Dad. What the hell is going on? Wade's voice cracked. He didn't care. Fred's exhale was long, heavy. You saw it. Dad, Emma, Christina, Marco. Wade's words jumbled into each other. How long have you known? Why didn't you say anything earlier? Fred spoke gently, but his voice carried the weight of someone who had been holding a terrible truth for too long. I didn't know for sure, he said. I only suspected. I noticed things when I visited. Christina hiding calls. Marco dropping by when you weren't home. Money moving from accounts that shouldn't be touched. And Emma, she let something slip once about her mother, saying, Daddy doesn't need to know everything. It didn't sit right with me. Wade rubbed his forehead, dizzy. So you what? Hired someone? Yes, Fred admitted. A private investigator. I didn't want to accuse Christina without proof. And I didn't want to destroy your marriage if this was all a misunderstanding. This, Wade gestured at the papers scattered across Emma's floor. This is not a misunderstanding. Fred's voice hardened. No, it isn't. And it's worse than you think. I didn't want to tell you until I had enough evidence to protect you and Emma. Wade swallowed. Protect us? From what? From whatever they were planning, Fred said gravely. Son, I think they were going to take Emma. I think they were going to take your money. And I think they were going to get rid of you afterward. Wade closed his eyes, every word sinking into him like ice. His wife, his best friend, planning to kidnap his daughter, planning to steal his life savings, planning to kill him. The silence between father and son stretched, sharp and fragile. Finally, Fred added, voice lowering. I'm sorry, Wade. I truly am. But now that you know the truth, everything changes. Wade looked at the DNA test, the emails, the proof of every betrayal he never could have imagined. Everything changed. Right there, right then, and nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 2, Forming the Secret Team. Wade couldn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. He sat in the dark living room long after midnight, staring at the papers spread across the coffee table. The DNA test, the emails, Marco's messages, Christina's cold, calculated replies. Evidence of betrayal thick enough to drown him. He replayed Fred's words again and again. Now that you know the truth, everything changes. He didn't know what everything meant yet, but he could feel the shift inside himself. A line crossed, a door opened, a piece of him ripped clean off. When Fred arrived early the next morning, Wade looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Fred stepped in quietly, shutting the door behind him. You ready? No, Wade whispered, but I don't think I'll ever be. They sat at the kitchen table, the morning sunlight slanting across the hardwood. The house was silent. Christina had left for work already, humming like nothing was wrong, and Wade had forced himself to kiss her cheek as she walked out the door. He tasted betrayal for hours afterward. Fred laid a folder on the table. I've been gathering information, but this is bigger than me, bigger than you. We need people who know how to deal with situations like this. Situations like my wife planning to kidnap our daughter? Wade asked bitterly. Fred flinched. Situations involving crime, conspiracy, and people willing to do anything for money. Wade's jaw tightened. So who do we bring in? Fred opened the folder. For names were written inside, each with short notes. People I trust, Fred said. People who can help. Discreetly. He tapped the first name. Terrence Miller, private investigator. I hired Terrence a few weeks ago, Fred explained. He's already dug into Marco's background. Wade took a breath. Okay. Who else? Carlton Hayes, divorce attorney. Carlton is the best. Expensive. Ruthless. And he owes me a favor from a long time ago. Wade raised an eyebrow. You planning a divorce already? I'm planning to protect you and Emma, Fred corrected. Wade nodded slowly. Jed Winters, tech specialist. Wade blinked in recognition. Jed? My college roommate, Jed. Fred nodded. He's a cybersecurity analyst now. And he's loyal to you. Wade exhaled. God, I haven't talked to him in ages. I'll pick up your call, Fred said. He always liked you. Then Fred pointed to the last name. Harvey Quinn, Former FBI, hostage negotiation, and threat assessment. Wade stared. Dad, FBI? Retired, Fred corrected. But he knows more about criminal intent than anyone I've ever met. Wade rubbed his temples. This is insane. Fred gently placed a hand on his son's shoulder. Son, your wife and your best friend conspire to take your money, steal your child, and possibly kill you. Insane or not, you need help. Wade didn't argue. The first meeting. Terrence. Terrence arrived first that afternoon. He was tall, wiry, and had the kind of eyes that never stopped observing. He shook Wade's hand firmly. Mr. Robertson, I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. Wade nodded, exhausted. Just wait. Terrence sat, opening a tablet. Marco has been in debt for years. He owes over $200,000 to private gamblers. Some of them, very dangerous people. He's running out of time to pay them back. Wade swallowed. So he chose my family. Not just your family, Terrence corrected. Your money. And Christina? Wade forced the name out. Terrence hesitated, then met his eyes. She's been siphoning money from mutual accounts. Small amounts, spread over months. That's usually how someone builds an escape fund. Wade closed his eyes. Escape. With Marco. Without him. Introducing Carlton. Carlton arrived next, a well-dressed, sharply spoken man with an aura of control that even Wade found grounding. Wade, Carlton greeted. Fred told me the basics. I want to hear it from you. Wade explained everything slowly, painfully, watching Carlton's expression harden. When Wade finished, Carlton spoke quietly, dangerously. Christina is going to face consequences. You have more than enough grounds for a silent divorce, a restraining order, and full custody. But timing matters. Evidence matters. Strategy matters. Strategy? Wade echoed. There's a right way and a wrong way to expose a criminal, Carlton said. And your wife is a criminal, Wade. Hearing it spoken aloud almost broke him. Jed arrives, the tech expert. Jed showed up in jeans and a hoodie, looking exactly like the guy Wade used to game with in college. When he saw Wade, his joking smile vanished. Dude, you look awful. Thanks, Wade murmured. Jed hugged him hard. Whatever's going on, I'm here. Fred told me enough to hop on a plane. Wade swallowed emotion. I don't deserve stop. Jed squeezed his shoulder. You helped me back then. Now it's my turn. They sat, and Jed immediately got to work. I can pull deleted texts, track digital communication, access anything that Christina or Marco thinks they hid. I can find every account, secret or otherwise. Wade nodded. I need to know everything. You will, Jed promised. Harvey, the heavyweight, the retired FBI agent, arrived last. Harvey Quinn had silver hair, a rigid posture, and a stare that could peel paint. He shook Wade's hand with surprising warmth. Your father told me what's happening. I'm sorry you're going through this. Wade's voice cracked. I don't even know where to start. Harvey pulled out a notebook. You start by telling me everything you know. Every word, every detail, no matter how small. They talked for an hour. Harvey's tone never changed, calm, focused, clinical. We're dealing with a conspiracy, Harvey concluded. Financial motive, emotional leverage, pre-planning, outside help, outside help. Wade asked. Harvey nodded. Yes. Based on Terrence's early findings, someone else bought sedatives using a burner card. A man named Antoine. Wade stiffened. Sedatives? For Emma, Harvey said. They needed to keep her compliant during the kidnapping. Wade felt the breath leave his lungs. And Christina's friend Jamie, Harvey continued. She's been giving Christina an alibi for suspicious outings. Terrence is verifying all her movements. Wade couldn't speak. Everything was unraveling faster than he could process. Keeping up the act, after hours of strategizing, the team finally dispersed. Only Wade and Fred remained. Wade rubbed his face. Dad, how am I supposed to live with her? Look at her. Pretend nothing's wrong. Fred's voice was steady. Because if she suspects she'll move early. And we're not ready for that. Wade let out a shaky laugh. I have to kiss her goodnight. Yes. Say I love you. Yes. Sleep beside her. Fred swallowed. I'm afraid so. Wade leaned back, staring at the ceiling as tears finally broke free. I don't know if I can. You can, Fred said softly. Because Emma needs you too. Wade wiped his face, straightened, and nodded with new resolve. His heart was breaking, but Emma's safety came first. He would bleed in silence before he let his daughter be taken from him. And so, the secret team was formed. The counterplan began quietly in the shadows. The investigation deepened. Wade's life was falling apart, and he had to pretend everything was perfect. Chapter 3: Acting Normal While Gathering Evidence. Wade Robertson woke the next morning with a weight in his chest so heavy he couldn't breathe at first. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floorboards while Christina slept peacefully beside him, curled like a child. He watched her for a long moment. He wondered how many times she had lain in this same bed, whispering to Marco behind his back. How many nights she had pretended to love him while planning his destruction. She stirred. "You're up early," she murmured, stretching. Wade swallowed the disgust and forced a soft smile. Couldn't sleep. She sat up, brushing messy hair from her eyes. "Rough week for both of us," she sighed. "I was thinking maybe we could have a date night Friday. Relax. Get out of the house." The words stabbed like needles. Relax? Get out of the house. While plotting a kidnapping. Wade kissed her forehead gently. "That sounds perfect." He stood before she could notice his trembling. Installing the cameras. Harvey had insisted on it. If she's planning something, she'll eventually slip. Get on camera. So Wade waited until Christina left for a dentist appointment. The moment her car disappeared down the street, he called Jed. Jed arrived 10 minutes later with a backpack full of equipment. "Okay," Jed said, clapping his hands. "Let's wire this place like a spy movie. Hidden lens, motion-triggered audio, cloud backup. She touches anything, we have it." Wade nodded. "Let's do it." They worked room by room, speaking in low whispers. Jed pointed to a bookshelf in the living room. Perfect spot. Camera in the spine of a fake book. In the kitchen pantry. A hidden mic behind the flour tin. She'll never look. In the master bedroom. Wade hesitated. "Do we really need one here?" Jed met his eyes. "You want proof, right?" She calls him. She texts him. She whispers things she won't say anywhere else. Wade exhaled sharply. "Fine. Do it." When they were done, Jed patted Wade's shoulder. "We'll get everything. Just hold it together a little longer." Saving the financial records. The next step was digging through their shared accounts. That night, while Christina showered, Wade sat at the dining table with his laptop. He opened statements, one after another, scrolling past long lists of transactions. His heart dropped each time he saw her withdrawals. $200 here, $500 there, a $1,200 wire to an unmarked account. He screenshotted everything. He organized folders. He saved copies to a hidden drive Harvey had given him. Christina walked into the room, wearing a towel, just as he closed the laptop. "What are you working on?" she asked. Wade smiled casually. "Just checking on some investment numbers." "Oh," she said lightly, "that's good. You worry too much about the future. Enjoy now." Wade forced a laugh. "You're right. I'll try." She kissed him softly. He whispered back, "I love you." He tasted poison, warning Emma. This was the hardest part. One evening, Wade sat on the floor of Emma's room while she colored at her desk. She hummed, innocent and wonderful, unaware of the war brewing around her. "Hey, Pumpkin," Wade said softly. "Can we talk for a second?" She turned. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," he said quickly. "Nothing like that. I just want you to remember something important." She nodded slowly. "From now on," Wade said gently, "if you ever feel uncomfortable or scared, or if Mom says something strange, I want you to come find me. Immediately. No matter what." Emma frowned. "Did Mom do something bad?" Wade's heart cracked. "No, sweetheart. But Dad just being cautious. I need you close to me." "Okay." After a moment, she nodded. "Okay, Daddy." He hugged her tightly, swallowing the burn of tears. The investigators report in. A week passed in slow torture. Every night after Christina slept, Wade met with the team. They gathered in Fred's garage, all sitting around an old workbench lit by a single bulb. Harvey opened the meeting with his gravelly tone. "We've tracked several of Christina's outgoing calls. Most are to Marco. A few to a woman named Jamie." Wade clenched his fists. "Jamie, her best friend," Terrence added, Jamie's been helping Christina create alibis for months. Dinner outings that never happened. Shopping trips she never took. Christina uses those alibis every time she meets Marco. Wade's stomach twisted. Terrence continued. We also discovered purchases made by a man named Antoine, an associate of Marco. He bought prescription sedatives using a prepaid card the same week Marco and Christina exchanged messages about making sure Emma will stay calm. Jed swore under his breath. They were really going to drug the kid. Wade couldn't breathe for several seconds. Harvey leaned forward. This proves premeditation. They weren't planning a panic move. They were planning a professional abduction. Wade rubbed his temples. What about Marco? Terrence pulled out photos. He's getting more desperate. His gambling debts have doubled. He's meeting dangerous people in bad neighborhoods. And he's been watching your house. Wade stared at the photos. Marco parked half a street away, sunglasses on, engine running. You're not safe, Harvey said bluntly. Wade whispered, neither is Emma. The lies pile up. Meanwhile, Wade had to continue playing the devoted husband. Every morning, he made Christina coffee. Every afternoon, he texted her sweet messages. Every night, he lay beside her pretending nothing was wrong. But the lies were piling up faster. One night she came home late, hair messy, shirt slightly wrinkled. Work ran long, she said. Wade tilted his head innocently. Oh, Jed said, he saw you near Harbor Street around 7. Her eyes flickered barely, but he saw it. Jed, she repeated. Why would Jed be out there? Wade shrugged. He was grabbing dinner. Oh, she said too quickly. Well, maybe he saw someone who looked like me. Wade smiled. Maybe. She walked past him, uneasy. Good, he thought. Jed had never been near Harbor Street. But now Christina was wondering who was watching her. Every night, more questions. More tiny manipulations. More wedges driven between her and Marco. A quiet war between them. Christina grew more tense by the day. She checked her phone constantly. She snapped easily. She watched Wade when she thought he wasn't looking. Wade played dumb. At dinner, she pushed vegetables around her plate. Marco hasn't returned my calls, she said casually. He's been busy, I guess. Wade nodded. Have you two argued recently? She stiffened. Why would you ask that? You just seem stressed, he replied gently. I thought maybe Marco said something upsetting. Her fork clattered against the plate. I don't talk to Marco about things, she said. Wade placed a comforting hand over hers. You can tell me anything, you know. Christina looked at him, really looked, and for a moment something flickered behind her eyes. Fear, guilt, paranoia, all the things Wade needed her to feel. That night, while she showered, Terrence sent Wade a message. Marco and Christina argued through text. He thinks she's losing nerve. He's threatening her. Wade stared at the screen. Perfect. The cracks between them were widening, and he would keep pushing, slowly, carefully, until they tore each other apart. Wade rinsed dishes at the sink while Christina dried her hair in the hallway. He kept his face soft, his posture relaxed, his tone warm. To her, he looked like the perfect husband. Inside, he was a storm. Every lie she told him, every message she sent Marco, every step she took closer to betraying him, he documented everything. He played along. He smiled through the pain, because the trap was building piece by piece. And though his heart was shattering every day, Wade knew one thing. He had to endure it. For Emma. For the truth. For survival. Chapter 4, Building the Trap. Fred spread the blueprints of the house across the oak table in his study, the low lamplight casting long shadows over the maps, printed emails, and surveillance photos scattered everywhere. Wade stood across from him, shoulders heavy, eyes carrying the weight of a man who had forgotten what sleep felt like. For several seconds, Fred didn't speak. He simply traced a finger along the blueprint, tapping twice on Emma's room. This is where it starts, Fred murmured. And this time we control the beginning, middle, and end. Wade exhaled slowly. We're really doing this, letting them try to take her. We're not letting them, Fred corrected, lifting his gaze. We're trapping them. You said you wanted the truth? This is how we rip off the whole mask. Wade swallowed the rising dread and nodded. The door opened, and the team began to gather one by one. Terrence, the private investigator, walked in first, tall, calm, wearing that weather jacket he treated like a second skin. Jed followed, lugging 3 laptops and a case filled with tech equipment. Carlton, the divorce lawyer whose aura was somehow equal parts arrogance and brilliance, had a leather folder tucked under his arm. And finally, Harvey, broad-shouldered, silver-haired, moving with the precision of a man who had spent decades breaking criminals in interrogation rooms. Fred clasped his hands behind his back. Everyone here knows the stakes. Christina and Marco are moving fast. If we don't act first, Wade becomes the headline on tomorrow's news. Harvey nodded. We create the illusion they're winning. Overconfidence makes people sloppy. Sloppy gets them caught, Terrence added. Wade rubbed his face. Just tell me what I have to do. Jed set a small black device on the table, no bigger than a button. First step. Emma gets this. Wade froze. A tracker. A tracker and a live audio recorder, Jed said. It syncs to my surveillance laptop. If they so much as whisper her name, we'll hear it. Carlton cleared his throat. And legally, this ensures we're covered. Evidence collected through your parental authority is admissible. Their plan will nail them to the wall. Harvey chimed in. This only works if they believe nothing is wrong. That means you, he pointed at Wade, must keep living with your wife as if everything is perfect. Wade's jaw clenched. I've been doing that. And now, Harvey said, you'll have to do it better. Fred gestured to Jed. Next. Jed opened his case, revealing a thick folder. We'll be creating a fake financial trail. Christina will think she's finding backdoors into the trust fund. She'll believe the accounts are shifting into her name. Carlton smirked. She'll get greedy. And greed makes people talk. Terrence leaned forward. Meanwhile, we're inserting Leonardo into Marco's circle. Wade raised an eyebrow. Leonardo? The door opened again, and a man stepped inside. Tall, lean, with dark, effortlessly slicked-back hair and a sharp suit. He looked like he had walked straight out of a corporate espionage thriller. Wade blinked. You're the undercover operative? Leonardo grinned. Infiltration is my specialty. I already got myself on Marco's radar as a guy who can solve problems for cash. He thinks I'm desperate and discreet. Exactly how his type likes it. Harvey nodded approvingly. Leonardo will be close enough to pick up chatter. When Marco starts planning logistics for the kidnapping, we'll know in real time. Wade felt a twisting ache in his stomach at the very word. My daughter, he whispered. Fred stepped around the table and placed a hand on Wade's shoulder. She will be safe. This time, we're not the ones being played. Terrence placed a file in front of Wade. Our last objective. Drive tension between Christina and Marco. The more paranoid they become, the more mistakes they'll make. Ow, Wade asked. Simple, Terrence replied. Your behavior. Subtle things. Emotional manipulation. Let her feel like you're drifting away or hiding something. She'll push harder on Marco. They'll argue. They'll blame each other. And they'll start slipping. Jed typed something rapidly into one of his laptops. I'll be tracking all their communications. Emails. Messages. Deleted texts. Everything. Silence settled for a beat. The kind that wrapped around a man's chest and pressed inward. Wade finally said, Tell me what I have to do for Emma. Later that night, Wade knocked lightly on Emma's door. She sat on her bed cross-legged, reading a book, the soft glow of her little unicorn lamp lighting her face. Dad, she asked, eyes curious. Wade forced a smile. Hey, sweetheart. Thought I'd tuck you in. She set the book aside and crawled under the blanket. Wade sat at the edge of the bed, brushing her hair behind her ear. How was school? He asked gently. Good. Miss Turner said I drew the best picture of the solar system. She beamed proudly. That's my girl. For a moment, he forgot everything. Forgot betrayal. Forgot danger. Forgot the weight of secrets crushing him. Then he remembered the tracker in his pocket. His chest tightened. I need you to do something for me, he said quietly. Emma blinked. Okay, what is it? You remember how we talk about staying close to Dad when things feel a little strange? She nodded slowly. Well, Wade continued, keeping his voice steady. We're going to practice that for a little while. If someone you don't expect comes to pick you up, if anyone says your mom sent me, or if something feels wrong, you call me. Right away. Okay. Emma's brows furrowed. Dad, is something wrong? He shook his head quickly. No. Nothing's wrong. I just want you extra safe. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. Wade reached into his pocket and showed the tracker, disguised as a tiny pink hair clip. You know how you like wearing clips? He said lightly. Emma giggled. Because my hair gets in my eyes. Exactly. He clipped it gently to a strand near her temple. Wear this one every day, okay? It's special. Special how? It helps me keep track of your adventures. His voice cracked at the end, but Emma didn't catch it. She smiled, touched the clip, and nodded again. I love you, Dad. Wade held her tight, closing his eyes. I love you more than anything. The next morning, the team reconvened. Leonardo reported, Marco took the bait. He thinks I have contacts who can help him disappear after the job. He's bragging about new plans. Big money. Big escape. He's convinced everything will work. Terrence added. Christina logged into the fake financial backdoor last night. She spent 2 hours tracing what she thinks is the trust fund draining into her hands. Jed grinned. She bought it. Harvey leaned back in his chair. Time to turn up the emotional tension. Wade, today, act distant. Ask her oddly timed questions. Plant seeds of doubt. Wade nodded grimly. And remember, Fred warned, voice low and firm. This trap only works if we control every single step. Wade took a deep breath. Emma had her tracker. Leonardo was inside Marco's world. The fake financial trails were in place. Christina and Marco were being pushed toward suspicion and conflict. Everything was now set. Everything was moving. And there was no turning back. Chapter 5, the day before the storm. Morning arrived heavy and muted, as if the sky itself sensed what tomorrow would bring. Wade stood at the kitchen counter, staring into a cup of coffee gone cold. Christina moved around the kitchen with unusual stiffness, her hands trembling as she reached for the sugar jar. She dropped the spoon. It clattered loudly against the marble floor. Wade didn't flinch. She did. You okay? He asked casually. Christina forced a smile that barely touched her lips. I just didn't sleep well. I noticed, Wade replied, watching her eyes flick away. She had dark circles, barely covered beneath concealer. Her phone vibrated on the counter, and she nearly jumped. Wade watched her discreetly angle the screen away from him as she checked the message. Her eyes widened just slightly, enough to reveal panic before she masked it. Marco. It had to be him. Wade sipped his cold coffee and pretended not to see her trembling thumb type a reply. Everything all right? Just work? She whispered. Emma nodded. You seem tense. Christina swallowed hard. Just tired. But Wade could see the truth. She wasn't tired. She was scared. Across the city, Marco paced the basement of the abandoned auto shop where he had been conducting his secrets. Leonardo, leaning against a rusted tool cabinet, played the role of the cool, interested outsider, watching Marco unravel piece by piece. Marco slammed his fist onto a metal table. She's dragging her feet. I told her we move tomorrow. Leonardo raised an eyebrow. Your woman losing her nerve? Marco's jaw clenched. She's getting stupid. Talking too much. Asking too many questions. He ran both hands through his hair. She's worried Wade suspects something. Leonardo kept his tone calm. Does he? Marco's eyes darted. No, he's an idiot. He believes anything she says. But she doesn't believe that, Leonardo pointed out. Marco growled. That's why she's getting cold feet. Talking about postponing. Saying Emma isn't emotionally ready. What the hell does that even mean? She had no problem stealing from him. No problem screwing behind his back. Leonardo smirked inwardly. He had what he needed. You know, Leonardo said slowly, if she keeps pushing back, you might want to persuade her. Marco's eyes narrowed. Oh, I will. Trust me. He cracked his knuckles. Violently. Back at the Robertson house, tension clung to the air like humidity before a thunderstorm. Wade pretended to read a work document at the living room table while Christina paced upstairs. Every few minutes he heard footsteps stopping, then moving again, then stopping. She was losing control. His phone buzzed. A message from Terrence. Marco is unstable. Leonardo says the situation escalates tonight. Be ready. Wade type back. I am. Position everyone. He looked up just as Christina came downstairs, dressed too nicely for a simple grocery run. Going somewhere, he asked lightly. She froze for a fraction of a second. Why, yes. Jamie wants to grab lunch. Girl time. Give her my best. Christina forced another shaky smile. Of course. When she reached the door, Wade added softly, be safe. She stumbled over her own feet at the words, then hurried out. Wade waited 5 seconds. Then he grabbed his phone. Time to move. An hour later, Christina sat in Jamie's car, gripping her purse like a life raft. Jamie glanced over. Girl, you look like you're about to throw up. Christina's breath trembled. Marco wants to do it tomorrow. Jamie blinked. Tomorrow? As in the kidnapping? Christina nodded frantically. I told him we should wait. Just a few more days. Think it through. But he wouldn't listen. He got angry, really angry. How angry? Christina's eyes filled with tears. He said if I try to back out, her voice broke. He said he'd kill me. Jamie went pale. Chris, Jesus, I don't know what to do. Then don't go home, Jamie whispered. Run. Stay with me. Christina shook her head. I can't. Marco will find me. He always finds me. What about Wade? Jamie asked quietly. Christina looked out the window, guilt and panic warring across her face. If I go home, Marco will think I'm betraying him. If I stay away, Wade will know something's wrong. Either way what? Christina whispered, tomorrow decides everything. That evening, Wade sat on the couch with Emma curled into his side, her tiny head resting on his chest. The TV played an animated movie, but neither of them was watching. Wade brushed her hair gently. You comfy, kiddo? Emma nodded sleepily. I like sitting with you like this. He smiled, though his heart twisted painfully. I do too. She looked up. Dad, why you seem sad? Wade swallowed. Hard. Just thinking. About grown-up things? Yeah. Emma snuggled closer. You can tell me if you want. Wade let out a shaky breath. If only I could, he whispered, kissing the top of her head. They sat in warm silence for a long time before she whispered, Are we going to be okay, Dad? Wade closed his eyes, fighting the burn behind them. Yes, we are. I promise. She nodded and drifted off to sleep against him. Wade held her like she was the last warm thing in the world. It felt like the last peaceful moment he'd have for a long time. Night fell. The house grew quiet. Christina returned home late, looking pale, distracted, and exhausted. She didn't speak as she walked past the living room. But Wade watched her closely, the shaking hands, the uneven breathing, the glassy eyes. She was unraveling. And tomorrow, everything would snap. Across the city, Leonardo sent the team the final confirmation. A recorded voice memo. Marco's voice, sharp and furious. Listen to me, Christina. This is happening tomorrow. No delays. No excuses. You're in this whether you like it or not. And if you screw me, I swear to God, you won't live to regret it. Leonardo followed with a text. That's the proof. He's desperate. Violent. He won't stop. Tomorrow is the day. At 11:32 p.m., Christina and Marco met in a dimly lit parking lot, tension hanging thick between them. You're losing it, Christina whispered. If we rush, Marco grabbed her arm roughly. Shut up. We're doing it tomorrow. Marco, you back out, he hissed, and you're dead. Christina's breath hitched. You said you love me. Marco laughed cruelly. Love? This is about money. Survival. You're either part of the plan or part of the problem. She yanked her arm away. You're scaring me. Good. Marco stepped closer, face inches from hers. Be scared enough to obey. Christina's hands shook uncontrollably. I just need more time. You have until tomorrow, he growled. After that, you're nothing. He walked away, leaving her shaking and breathless beside her car. And at the same time, on the other side of the city, Wade stood inside Fred's study with Terrence, Harvey, Jed, and Leonardo surrounding him. Fred placed a map of the city on the table and circled several mark points. Tomorrow, everything moves. We position here, and here. Harvey crossed his arms. No mistakes. Leonardo adjusted his earpiece. They'll make the mistakes. We'll just be there to catch them. Terrence checked his watch. Everyone clear? Jed nodded. All tech systems are up. Fred looked at Wade. You ready, son? Wade took a long breath. Tomorrow, he said, voice steady but heavy, "We end this." Chapter 6, The Kidnapping. Morning arrived with a deceptive stillness. Bright sun, clear skies, the kind of gentle warmth that usually made the park feel safe. But Wade felt none of that. His chest felt like a fist was wrapped around his heart, squeezing tighter with each hour. This was the day. He held Emma's hand a little too tightly as they crossed the parking lot toward the playground. She looked up at him curiously. "Dad, you okay?" Wade forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetheart. Just thinking. Big day at work later." Emma accepted the lie easily. She ran toward the swings, her little sneakers kicking up bits of gravel. "Push me. Push me." Wade lifted her onto the swing and nudged her gently. Her laugh rang out, pure, unbroken, innocent, and it sliced through him. Because in a few minutes, everything would change. He kept glancing around the park. The benches, the restrooms, the tree line. Marco was out there somewhere, watching and waiting. Harvey was also out there, disguised as an early morning jogger. Terrence pretended to be reading a newspaper. Jed sat in a parked car half hidden behind shrubs, tapping into live GPS feeds from the tracking devices. Everyone was in place. Everyone except Christina. Wade checked the time. She should be at work by now. She had kissed him goodbye with an overly soft, "I'll see you tonight, honey." When she walked out the door, Wade noted the faintest tremble in her hands. Guilt or fear, he didn't care anymore. He turned back to Emma. "Sweetie, Daddy forgot his wall in the car. I'll be right back." "Okay? 2 minutes." Emma nodded. "Okay." She pumped her legs, pushing herself higher. She trusted him completely, and that trust burned. Wade stepped back, pretended to walk toward the parking lot. His stomach twisted violently. Every instinct screamed at him to turn around and grab her, hold her, run. But the team needed the crime to occur. They had one chance. Just one. Behind him, the swing set creaked. Then a soft thud. A muffled gasp. Wade spun around just in time to see Marco, hood pulled low, mask on, grab Emma from behind. A white cloth clamped over her mouth. "Emma!" Wade shouted, though it was all an act. Her legs kicked weakly. Her eyes widened in shock. Then they fluttered. She went limp in Marco's arms. Wade sprinted forward, rage and terror pumping through him, though he knew he couldn't catch up. Marco shoved Emma into a white panel van and slammed the door shut. The engine roared. The tires screeched. The van tore out of the parking lot. Wade ran a few more steps, then dropped to his knees, shaking, panting, letting the performance rip through him. Harvey jogged past, murmuring "tracker active," before pretending to chase uselessly. Jed's voice crackled through the tiny earpiece in Wade's ear. "I've got the signal. Following." Wade sucked in a deep breath, forcing his body to tremble harder. Now he had to make the next crucial move. Christina. He dialed her number with trembling fingers, some real tremors, some intentional. She picked up instantly. "Wade? Why are you calling?" "I'm in a meeting. I can't." "Christina." He made his voice raw, panicked. "Emma's gone." The silence on her end was brief, too brief to be genuine, but she quickly filled it with a perfectly executed scream. "What? What do you mean she's gone?" Wade forced out broken, breathless words. "A man, he took her. He took our baby. Oh God, Chris." Christina sobbed loudly. No, Wade, how could this happen? Where were you?" "I just walked to the car." "For 1 minute. You left her alone? Why would you do that, Wade?" Her accusations were too sharp, too quick. She slipped. Wade tracked every word. I'm calling the police," she cried. "I'm driving there. Stay where you are." Then she hung up. Wade lowered the phone slowly. Behind him, Terrence whispered, her reactions on tape. "Every second." "Good," Wade muttered. "She'll slip more soon." Meanwhile, Marco's van barreled down the freeway. Inside, Emma lay sedated but unharmed on a small mattress, a tiny tracker hidden beneath her shirt. Harvey and Terrence trailed the van in separate unmarked cars, keeping a perfect distance. Jed narrated updates through the comms. "Heading east. No sudden turns. He thinks he's clean." Terrence added, "Approaching the industrial zone." Wade stood in the empty playground, pretending to cry into his hands, but his earpiece fed him every detail. "Storage Unit 14B, Harvey said. He's pulling in." "Copy," Jed replied. Camera feeds live. Wade exhaled shakily. It had begun. An hour later, while Wade waited at home pretending to be shattered, Christina burst through the front door with theatrical panic. "Oh my God, Wade!" She ran to him, throwing her arms around him. "Tell me the police are looking. Tell me they're looking, my baby." Wade let himself appear glassy-eyed. "They're searching. They think it was planned. It wasn't random." Christina froze. He caught it. A tiny flick of her eyes. Fear. But she quickly forced herself back into character. Why? Who would do this? Why her? Wade didn't answer. He let silence dig into her. After a moment, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She stiffened. She stepped away. I need a minute." She ran into the hallway. Terrence, listening through the tiny bug hidden in her purse, whispered through the earpiece. "Marco just sent the ransom request." Wade waited. 30 silent seconds passed. Then Christina came back, eyes red, phone in hand. "Wade," she whispered, voice trembling. "Someone just sent a message." Wade pretended to swallow hard. "Let me see." She hesitated. It's addressed to you." Wade snatched the phone gently. On the screen, $3 million in 24 hours or the girl dies. Instructions will follow. Do not call the police. Wade's stomach twisted. Even knowing the plan, seeing it written out, felt like sticking his hand into fire. "Oh God," Wade whispered, letting his knees buckle. "They're going to kill her. Christina, they're going to kill her." Christina instantly knelt with him, rubbing his back. No, we'll pay it. We'll do whatever they want. We'll get her back." Terrence quietly recorded everything from the listening device. Every false tear, every slip, every lie. Jed's voice broke through Wade's earpiece. "Marco's making more demands. He thinks he's in control." Harvey added, "Emma's safe. Heart rate normal. Sedation wearing off in another hour." Terrence whispered, "Record everything. Marco's threats are coming next." Christina's phone buzzed again. She looked at it, and her expression briefly changed. Not pain, recognition. Then she forced herself to scream. "Wade, he sent another message." Wade stood, shaking, gripping her shoulders. "Read it." She held out the phone. "Transfer $3 million or she dies. You have 24 hours. No tricks. No cops." Wade shouted, "I'll get you the money. Just don't hurt her." His voice cracked so hard Christina flinched. Jed whispered, "Perfect reaction." She bought it. Wade sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands, making sure she saw a man breaking. Christina watched him, studied him. She was calculating, and the team caught every second. For the next 20 minutes, Wade oscillated between panic, begging, and despair, every moment recorded by Terrence and Jed. At one point, Christina whispered, "Wade, I'm scared." He looked up at her, letting a tear fall. "Me too." She swallowed. "Hard. We will get her back. Somehow." Wade nodded slowly, his voice low and trembling. "We will. I swear it." Behind him, Jed whispered through the comms. "Marco thinks he's running the show, but we've got everything we need. The trap is set." And Wade, still trembling, still pretending to unravel, knew the storm had finally begun. Chapter 7. Christina cracks under pressure. The morning air was sharp with tension, the kind that tightened the chest and made every breath feel shallow. Wade sat in Fred's study, staring at a wall-mounted map of the city, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the table. Through the earpiece, Jed and Terrence whispered updates in low tones, keeping the room alive with the rhythm of controlled chaos. "Positions?" Fred asked quietly, his voice measured but urgent. "Units in place," Harvey confirmed. FBI quietly surrounding Christina. "No visible movement yet. She doesn't know." Wade nodded, trying to look calm, though inside he felt like a volcano on the verge of eruption. He rubbed his face, glancing at Leonardo, who sat cross-legged on the floor, headphones on, pretending to monitor a routine traffic feed. Then the phone in the study buzzed. Terrence picked it up, listened for a beat, and handed it to Wade. "Jamie," Wade said, a hint of dread threading through his voice. "Wade, I can't." Jamie's voice trembled. I think Christina, she's involved." Wade froze. "Slow down. What do you mean?" I've been lying to myself. Covering for her, Jamie whispered, panic thick in her words. She's not just hiding money, Wade. I think she's helping Marco with taking Emma. Wade's stomach lurched. He closed his eyes, pressing a hand to his forehead. Okay. Calm down. I need you to think clearly. Where's she now? She's driving somewhere, Jamie stammered. I don't know exactly, but it feels wrong. She's panicking. Fred leaned over Wade's shoulder, his eyes sharp. She's cracking. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Everything's about to accelerate. Tell Jamie to stay put and not intervene. Wade swallowed hard and repeated the instructions to Jamie. Don't do anything. Stay safe. Just be ready to answer when we call again. Yes, Jamie said, her voice shaking. I can do that. Wade hung up, taking a long, shuddering breath. He turned to Fred. She's moving. I can feel it. She's trying to fix things. Marco, she's heading straight to him. Fred's jaw tightened. Then we accelerate. Rescue plan goes live. Now, outside, Christina gripped the steering wheel like it was the only lifeline keeping her alive. Her breath came in short, shallow bursts. Her thoughts collided in a chaotic storm. Fear, panic, guilt, desperation. Why is this happening? She whispered to herself. I followed the plan. Her hands trembled, and she clenched the wheel tighter, glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. No one was following, or so she thought. Just get there, she muttered. I'll fix this. I'll make it right. Marco, just let me fix it. Her phone buzzed in the passenger seat. She ignored it, knowing it was probably another message from Jamie asking questions she didn't want to answer. Every nerve in her body screamed that this was a mistake. But she was beyond turning back. Inside the van, Marco was waiting. His hands tapped the steering wheel nervously, his eyes darting around the abandoned storage lot they had parked in. He had just reviewed Leonardo's planted information, the proof of Wade's supposed financial distress, the fake trails that made him think his plan was foolproof. He was tense, always tense. And now, he could feel a shift in the air, something that smelled like betrayal. When Christina's headlights appeared in the distance, Marco's eyes narrowed. What is she doing? He muttered, a low growl escaping his throat. She's driving straight toward us. Leonardo's voice whispered in his earpiece, though Marco thought he was alone. She's panicking. Something's wrong. Marco's pulse quickened. Fear, suspicion, anger. His plan was collapsing, and he needed to know why. Christina finally pulled into the lot, slamming the car door. Her heels clicked harshly on the concrete as she stormed toward the van. Marco stepped out, his movements sudden, aggressive. Where the hell have you been? He spat. I told you we'd do this tomorrow. I know, Christina stammered, her voice breaking. I couldn't wait. I had to make sure everything's okay. Marco's eyes darkened. You had to see? Or were you being watched? Were you stupid enough to let him track you? Christina froze. Her stomach dropped. You've been watched, haven't you? Marco's voice rose, sharp and cruel. Tell me the truth, or, Marco, please don't. Christina tried to step back, fear overtaking her voice. Leonardo, still embedded in Marco's circle, tapped the earpiece. He suspects her. She's cornered him. Marco's face twisted with rage. You betrayed me. You think you can play both sides? Christina's knees buckled slightly. No. Please, I didn't, but Marco's paranoia had already taken hold. His hands shook as he reached into his jacket, fingers twitching near the gun tucked inside. You'll pay for this, he hissed. I don't care what it takes. Christina's breathing grew shallow, her eyes darting around desperately. She glanced at the darkened corners of the lot, seeing nothing, yet feeling everyone watching. Marco, I'm sorry, please, I just want to fix this. You can't fix anything. Marco roared. Everything's slipping. Back at Fred's command center, Wade's chest ached with tension. He listened to Leonardo's live feed, every heartbeat echoing through his ears. Wade, Leonardo whispered, she's moving. She's confronting him. He's panicking. Fred leaned over, eyes cold and sharp. This is exactly what we needed. Marco is destabilized. Now we strike. Every unit in position. Harvey picked up a headset. All surveillance teams ready. On my mark. Wade closed his eyes, trying to swallow the lump in his throat. Emma was safe, she had to be, but his mind raced through every possible disaster scenario. Terrence's voice cut in through the earpiece. Marco knows something's wrong. He's questioning her. Threats are flying. Christina's terrified. She's driving us into the next stage. Fred's finger traced a line on the map. Good. That triggers the accelerated rescue. Everyone, tighten up. Wade, stay ready. Wade's lips pressed into a thin line. I'm ready. Let's bring her home. Meanwhile, Christina's movements had set the entire operation in motion. She weaved through side streets, following Marco's instructions but driven by desperation, guilt, and fear. She didn't know that every turn, every stop, every word she whispered to herself was being monitored. She thought she was fixing things, but in reality, she was accelerating the collapse of her own plan. Marco, now fully convinced she had been watched, his paranoia peaking, tightened his grip on his gun. Leonardo's subtle nods and observations confirmed the team's anticipation. The criminals were falling apart exactly as planned. And all the while, Wade and the team watched. Every heartbeat, every misstep, every terrified glance recorded. The trap had tightened. The storm was ready to break. Chapter 8. The Confrontation at the Storage Unit. The metallic stench of oil and rust hit Wade before he even saw the storage unit. He crouched behind a row of rusted dumpsters, listening to the faint echoes of voices inside. His heart thudded so violently he thought Emma might hear it from her hiding spot. Wade, this is it, Fred said calmly beside him, though his eyes were sharp as knives. Everyone in position. Jed tapped his tablet, eyes scanning live camera feeds. Cameras are up. Tracking devices are live. FBI's blocking all exits. Harvey, adjusting his earpiece, murmured, "They don't know we're here. Marco thinks he's in control. Let's keep it that way until we move." Wade swallowed, nodding, trying to quiet the trembling in his chest. Every second that passed felt like hours. Emma was in there, somewhere, and he was about to walk into the lair of the man who had threatened her life. Inside the dimly lit unit, Marco's breathing was erratic. His eyes darted between Christina, who stood trembling near the back, and the small, sedated form of Emma lying on a mattress. The storage unit smelled faintly of disinfectant and stale air. Marco's fingers twitched over the gun in his waistband. "You've been watching me," he growled, his voice low and venomous. "You've been lying, haven't you? All of you." Christina backed against the wall, shaking violently. No, I didn't. Please, Marco, don't." Marco's eyes narrowed. "I know. You think you can betray me and get away with it? Think again." He yanked the gun free, aiming at her chest. "One false move, Marco, don't." Christina screamed, her voice raw with terror. Emma stirred slightly, groaning, half awake from her sedation. Marco's head snapped toward her, his rage spiking. "Quiet!" he barked, shaking the gun threateningly. Wade's hand tightened around the handle of the door. Fred's calm voice came through the earpiece. "Now!" Jed kicked open a side panel, letting Wade slip through the shadows. Harvey and the FBI agents flanked him, weapons drawn but careful, precise. Terrence moved in from the other side, silent as a shadow. Marco spun at the sound, eyes wild. "What the?" "Hands where I can see them," an FBI agent barked. Marco froze, but his grip on the gun didn't loosen. "Marco!" Wade stepped forward, voice commanding but trembling. "It's over. Drop the gun. Emma's okay. No one else needs to get hurt." Marco's laugh was harsh, unhinged. "Over? It's never over, Wade. You have no idea who you're messing with." Christina whimpered behind him, backing against the wall. Please don't." Marco's gaze flicked to her, hatred blazing. You brought him here. You let them watch us." He raised the gun again, shaking. "You're dead if I go down." Before anyone could react, Marco fired a shot. The bullet ricocheted off a metal locker, screaming through the air. Wade dropped to the floor, pulling Christina behind him. "Marco!" Harvey shouted, firing a warning shot into the wall above his head. "Drop it now." Marco's eyes were darting, unhinged. He was trapped, cornered, and desperate. The team advanced cautiously, but Wade knew he had to act. His daughter's life was at stake. He sprinted forward, catching Marco by surprise. Their bodies collided. Wade wrestled at the gun, feeling the cold metal dig into his palm. Christina screamed, "Wade, watch out!" The struggle was chaotic. Marco swung wildly, shoving Wade back. An agent tackled Marco from behind, and the gun skidded across the concrete floor. Harvey and Jed moved in instantly, subduing Marco with precise, practiced efficiency. The man thrashed, but the combined strength of Wade, Harvey, and the agents overpowered him. Marco's furious shouts echoed off the walls. "You think this ends here? You think this is the end? You'll pay. Everyone quiet." Wade barked, pushing him to the ground. "It's over." In the corner, Christina was frozen, pale and shaking. Terrence stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's done. Nobody else is going to get hurt." Christina's knees buckled, and she sank to the floor. Her eyes were wide with fear and disbelief. I didn't mean," she stammered. "You're coming with us," an FBI agent said firmly. "You're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and kidnapping." Christina's head fell into her hands, the weight of her crimes hitting her fully for the first time. I just want to help." Wade didn't look at her. Not yet. His gaze was fixed on the small bundle of Emma on the mattress. His heart pounded as he knelt beside her. "Emma," he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "Sweetheart, it's okay. Daddy's here." Emma's eyelids fluttered. A faint whimper escaped her lips. Wade gently lifted her into his arms, cradling her against his chest. The scent of her hair, the warmth of her body, it all felt like the last thread of normalcy in a world gone mad. Tears streamed down his face as he held her tight. "You're safe, so safe now. I've got you," she mumbled sleepily. "Daddy?" "Yes, baby. It's me. Daddy's here. Everything's okay." The chaos of the unit, the threats, the panic, the gunfire, faded into the background. Wade's entire world had narrowed to the soft weight of his daughter in his arms. Behind them, Marco was cuffed and pushed toward a waiting FBI van. His face was red, twisted with rage and humiliation. "This isn't over," he screamed, spitting at the pavement. "You'll regret this." An agent stepped forward, raising an eyebrow. "Federal kidnapping charges, extortion, and more. You're done." Marco's laugh was harsh and bitter. "Done? You don't understand. I'm untouchable." But the words were empty. The team had prepared for every contingency. He would be going to prison, and there would be no escape. Wade didn't watch the man leave. He stayed seated on the cold concrete floor, holding Emma, feeling her heartbeat sync with his own. Her little hands clutched his shirt, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he allowed himself to truly breathe. Fred stepped beside him quietly. "She's safe. That's all that matters." Wade nodded, not trusting his voice. Finally, he allowed himself to let the tears fall freely, mingling with the dirt on his knees. He had lost so much, the illusion of trust, the belief in his marriage, but in this moment he had his daughter. And that was everything. Christina was led past him, sobbing quietly, her betrayal now fully exposed. Wade didn't acknowledge her. Not now. Not while Emma rested in his arms. "Daddy," Emma whispered again, her small voice shaking slightly. Wade pressed his lips to her hair. "It's okay, baby. I've got you. Always." And for the first time since the nightmare had begun, he truly believed it. Chapter 9. Aftermath, Custody, and Justice. The first morning after the storage unit confrontation, Wade woke to the muted sunlight filtering through the blinds of his father's guest room. The house was quiet, except for the soft breathing of Emma, curled up beside him, still clutching the small blanket he had tucked around her the night before. He felt the weight of the previous days pressing down, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and sorrow. Holding Emma close, he whispered, "You're safe now, baby. I promise. No one can ever hurt you again." She murmured something incomprehensible in her sleep, her tiny hand brushing his cheek, and he felt a tear slip down his own. Fred appeared in the doorway, his presence calm but authoritative. "Sleep well?" he asked softly, letting Wade recover before talking about the day ahead. Wade nodded. "As well as I can." But the legal side, what now? Fred sat on the edge of the bed, folding his hands. We've already initiated custody proceedings. CPS will place Emma with you temporarily. Given the evidence we've collected, the permanent placement will almost certainly go in your favor. Christina's parental rights will be suspended until further notice. Wade closed his eyes, exhaling slowly. Relief washed over him, tempered by the knowledge of what Emma had endured. Good. She'll be protected. That's what matters. At the office later that morning, Wade met with Carlton, the divorce lawyer who had been quietly coordinating legal action since the initial discovery. Carlton's briefcase was open, papers spread neatly across the desk. The courts are moving fast, he said, tapping a document. Temporary custody has been granted. The evidence against Christina is overwhelming. Fraud, conspiracy, and attempted kidnapping. Permanent custody is likely. CPS supports it fully. Wade leaned back in the chair, tried to absorb the weight of it all. And her rights? I mean, she'll never see Emma again, right? Not without significant legal hurdles. And given her crimes, that's unlikely, Carlton said bluntly. She's facing prison time. 15 years is realistic. The judge wants to ensure Emma's safety comes first. Wade nodded, a mixture of triumph and sorrow swirling in his chest. Good. Emma's safety is the priority. Meanwhile, Jed had been busy at Christina's workplace, the art gallery she had so carefully curated as her professional image. Using a combination of digital surveillance and financial forensics, he uncovered hidden embezzlement. Funds have been siphoned into offshore accounts, invoices manipulated, and donations misappropriated over several years. Wade reviewed the evidence, feeling both vindication and disgust. She built a perfect life on lies, he murmured. Every piece of it fake, stolen. Jed shrugged. It'll make her sentence harsher. Fraud, theft, combined with the kidnapping conspiracy. She's looking at serious prison time. Not that I'm glad about it, but it's justice. Fred placed a reassuring hand on Wade's shoulder. Justice is one thing. Healing is another. You've done the right thing for Emma. Word came through from Terrence that Marco's situation was deteriorating. While in local jail, he had been targeted by other inmates over his gambling debts. A severe beating left him hospitalized, broken, and humiliated. After a week, he was transferred to federal custody to face charges related to kidnapping, extortion, and other organized crime violations. The doctors warned that his physical condition, combined with the brutality of prison life, meant his life expectancy was short. Wade listened quietly as Terrence summarized the news. It's grim, but justice is being served, Terrence added cautiously. Wade's jaw tightened. He won't get to terrorize anyone else. That's what matters. Emma's safe. I'll handle the rest. Over the next few weeks, the legal machinery moved swiftly. Wade spent hours in courtrooms, signing affidavits, giving testimony, and observing proceedings. Christina's presence was minimal. She was sequestered in a holding area, pale and sullen, her lawyers unable to counter the mountain of evidence stacked against her. One afternoon, Wade sat outside the courthouse with Emma, holding her hand. She twirled a strand of her hair around her finger and looked up at him with a faint frown. "Daddy, is Mommy mad at me?" she asked, her voice small, tentative. Wade's chest tightened. He knelt to her level, taking both her hands in his. "No, baby. Mommy made some very bad choices, but none of it was your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. I promise. You're safe, loved, and nothing can change that." Emma nodded slowly, trusting him. "Promise, promise," he said, pulling her close. Therapy sessions began soon after. Wade and Emma met with a child psychologist named Dr. Larkin, a calm woman with warm eyes who guided them through the first stages of healing. Emma clung to her father initially, hesitant to speak about the trauma, but under Dr. Larkin's patient guidance, small breakthroughs emerged. Her sleep improved, nightmares subsided, and she began to talk about her feelings more openly. One afternoon, Wade watched her draw pictures at the therapist's office. The images were simple, but the themes of safety and family were clear. A house, a dog, a father holding his daughter. "You're doing really well, sweetheart," Wade said softly, brushing her hair from her forehead. Emma smiled faintly. "I like drawing with you, Daddy." "I like it too," he replied, squeezing her hand gently. "We're going to get through this together. Always." Meanwhile, the legal consequences continued to ripple outward. Christina's gallery closed after the embezzlement evidence went public. Investors withdrew support, donors demanded restitution, and her professional reputation crumbled entirely. No one would hire her in the foreseeable future. Wade watched this unfold with a mix of satisfaction and detachment. He didn't revel in her downfall, but he recognized the necessity of accountability. Marco's federal trial loomed, but his condition made it unlikely he would survive long in prison. The news that he had already been severely beaten by inmates for his debts brought Wade a grim sense of closure. Justice had caught up to both of them, even if it hadn't been poetic. Even as the courts ruled, Wade focused on the slow work of rebuilding life. Emma, and he moved into a quieter, safer routine with Fred's oversight. Weekdays were structured. School, therapy, homework, and simple moments of play. Evenings were filled with story time, bedtime routines, and the comfort of stability. Fred watched from the kitchen, silently observing Wade and Emma. "You've handled this better than most could," he said, his tone almost proud. Wade didn't respond immediately, instead tucking Emma into bed that night. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "You're going to sleep safe tonight, baby. No one can touch you. Not ever." Emma murmured in reply, "I know, Daddy, I know." Finally, after months of chaos, courtrooms, and nightmares, a sense of fragile normalcy began to settle in. Wade was no longer living in fear for his daughter's safety. The legal system had delivered consequences, the criminals were neutralized, and the path to healing had begun. As he sat alone later that night, reviewing documents confirming Christina's suspended parental rights and Marco's federal charges, Wade allowed himself a moment to breathe. He had fought, strategized, and endured, and now the pieces were falling into place. He whispered softly into the quiet room, "Justice has been served. You're safe, Emma, and we're going to be okay." For the first time in weeks, he felt the tension ease slightly in his shoulders. Emma was with him. The legal battles were resolving. The nightmare was receding. And for now, that was enough. Chapter 10, A New Beginning. The morning sunlight streamed through the large bay windows of Fred's home, illuminating the living room where Wade was carefully arranging a small pile of books on a shelf. It felt strange, almost surreal, moving back into the home he had once grown up in. But the air was different now. Calmer, safer. He glanced over at Emma, who was sprawled on the carpet, sketching a picture with crayons. "Look, Daddy," she said, holding up the page. A brightly colored house stood next to a tree and a dog with a wagging tail. "This is our house now, and this is justice." Wade's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "I like that," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "Justice, huh? That's a strong name for a strong little dog." Emma giggled. "He's the best. He keeps me safe." She bounced up and down, drawing invisible circles around herself. "And he listens to me, too." Just then, Fred's footsteps echoed down the hallway. "Morning, you too," he called warmly. "I see Justice is already approved as a full-time protector." Wade laughed quietly. "I think she already believes he's a superhero." He looked down at Emma, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "And so do I." The golden retriever puppy, small but lively, bounded into the room at that moment, wagging his tail furiously. Emma squealed and ran to scoop him up, hugging him tightly. "Come on, Justice. Let's go outside." Wade followed, watching her carefully. Months had passed since the nightmare, but the scars remained. He still flinched at loud noises, still checked the locks on the doors multiple times a night. But seeing Emma laugh like this, seeing her slowly reclaim her innocence, made every sleepless night worthwhile. Outside, the backyard was bathed in sunlight. Emma ran in wide circles, chasing Justice as he darted after her, his ears flopping comically with every step. Wade stood back, hands on his hips, a small, bittersweet smile on his face. "You two make a pretty good team," he called out, his voice full of warmth. Emma paused for a moment, panting slightly, and looked up at him. "Daddy, Do you think Mommy ever really loved me? Her voice was quiet, almost hesitant. Wade's chest tightened. He crouched down to her level, resting his hands gently on her shoulders. Emma, that's a very hard question, he said softly. Sometimes people make terrible choices, and those choices can hurt the ones they love. But love isn't always enough to protect you. What matters is the love that's here, right now. The love that keeps you safe. That love is real, and it's forever. That's mine, baby. And Justice's too. Emma's small lips pressed together, absorbing his words. Then she smiled faintly, brushing her hands over the soft fur of the puppy. I think I understand, Daddy. You love me. That's enough. Wade kissed the top of her head, feeling a deep sense of relief wash over him. It's more than enough. Always has been, always will be. Weeks turned into months, and the rhythms of their new life began to settle in. Wade completed the legal adoption process, signing papers that made Emma officially his daughter. The courthouse staff congratulated them warmly, and Wade felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had survived unimaginable betrayal, but now he could provide Emma with the stability she deserved. Daddy, does this mean you're really my dad forever? Emma asked, clutching his hand tightly. Yes, baby, Wade said, squeezing her hand back. Forever and ever. No one can ever take that away from us. Later, that evening, as they sat together on the couch with Justice curled between them, Wade reflected on everything that had happened. He had lost trust in the people he loved, faced the frightening reality of betrayal, and fought to protect his daughter with every ounce of himself. And now, finally, he could exhale. Fred appeared in the doorway, watching quietly. You've done a remarkable job, Wade, he said softly. Emma's going to be okay, and so are you. You've both earned this peace. Wade nodded. I couldn't have done it without you, Dad. You saved us, really. Fred smiled. I just helped guide you. The real strength came from you. You never gave up on her. That's what matters. Inspired by everything they had endured, Wade began organizing a foundation for children of incarcerated parents. Kids like Emma might have been without intervention. He wanted to give them the same hope, stability, and protection he had fought so hard to give his own daughter. He met with local officials, drafted proposals, and began connecting with volunteers. Slowly, the idea became reality, and he found purpose in helping others rebuild their lives. Emma often accompanied him to small meetings, sitting quietly in the corner with Justice at her feet, absorbing the idea that they could turn pain into something meaningful. She would occasionally ask questions, curious but perceptive. Daddy, why do kids need a foundation? Wade smiled, ruffling her hair. Because some kids don't have anyone to protect them when bad things happen. And maybe if we can help just a few, we can make the world a little safer for them. Emma nodded solemnly, as if she understood the gravity of their work. Then she patted Justice, who wagged his tail in agreement. Life wasn't perfect. Wade still had moments of worry when she stayed out late with friends, or when he caught himself flinching at sudden sounds. But the laughter they shared, the evenings spent reading together, the backyard adventures with Justice, and the quiet moments of comfort, all of it built a new reality. One filled with safety, love, and the possibility of happiness. One night, as they tucked into bed, Emma hugged Wade tightly. Daddy, can we always stay together like this? Wade held her close, feeling the steady rhythm of her breathing against his chest. Always, baby. Nothing can change that. We have each other. That's all that matters. She nodded, closing her eyes, and drifted off to sleep. Wade watched her for a moment longer, marveling at the resilience of this little girl. Despite everything, she had found her strength, and he would protect that strength with his life. Months passed. Fred occasionally joined for dinner, bringing small gifts or treats for Emma and helping maintain the sense of extended family. Wade and Emma's bond deepened every day. Justice grew into a larger, still loyal dog, following Emma wherever she went, sitting patiently as she read aloud or played in the yard. One Sunday afternoon, Wade sat on the porch with a cup of coffee while Emma and Justice played in the grass. She ran up to him, cheeks flushed with excitement. Daddy, look, Justice caught the ball. Again, she shouted, holding the bright yellow tennis ball triumphantly. Wade laughed, setting his cup down. "You two are unstoppable," he said, ruffling her hair. "I think he's happier than either of us." Emma grinned. "He's my hero." "Yes," Wade said, smiling softly. "Just like you, baby. You're my little hero, too." As the sun dipped behind the trees, casting long shadows across the yard, Wade felt the weight of the past lift slightly. For the first time in a long time, the nightmare that had haunted them was truly behind them. He looked at Emma, spinning with justice in the yard, and felt a quiet, steady hope fill his chest. They had survived betrayal, danger, and fear. Now, there was only the promise of new days, laughter, and love. And for the first time, Wade allowed himself to truly believe it. The future was theirs, a canvas ready to be painted with joy, safety, and the unshakable bond between father and daughter. The nightmare had ended. Wade held Emma's hand, watching her play. And in that moment, he knew with certainty. They had finally stepped into a safe, hopeful future, just the two of them rebuilding their lives.